I'd like to introduce a very special guest we have here this evening, Kenneth Bowers. Ken currently serves as a secretary of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States, the annually elected governing council of the Baha'is of the 48 contiguous states. And before coming to the Baha'i National Center in Evanston, Illinois, Mr. Bowers owned and operated a shipping business in Atlanta. He holds a degree in linguistics from the University of Georgia, and he's also the author of God Speaks Again, an introductory book about the Baha'i faith. Let's welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'd also like to welcome all of you on behalf of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States and make a few comments about tonight's occasion. For 34 years now, the Baha'i community in Iran has been the target of severe and often brutal repression. In the early years after the Islamic Revolution of 1979, more than 200 Baha'is were killed, and thousands more were imprisoned, many of them tortured. In the decades since then, Baha'is, who constitute the largest non-Muslim religious minority in Iran, have continued to be arbitrarily arrested and detained. Baha'is have been barred from government jobs, Baha'i-owned businesses have been closed, and business licenses have been denied to Baha'is. Baha'is have been excluded from universities. Their marriages have not been recognized. Baha'i school children have been harassed and expelled. Baha'i homes and shops have been raided, vandalized, and attacked. Baha'i property has been confiscated without compensation, and Baha'i cemeteries and holy places have been desecrated and destroyed. Government documents have come to light over the years establishing that these atrocities are elements of an official, concerted plan to strangle this peaceful religious community. Against this backdrop of systematic, severe, and relentless persecution, in 2005, the government of Iran began increasing the pressure on the Baha'i community. Since that time, the number of Baha'is imprisoned has steadily gone up from single to double and now to triple digits, with the situation becoming very dire in the last 2 years. And to give two examples of that, at the beginning of 2011, there were 56 Baha'is in prison. That number is now 115. At the beginning of 2011, there were 230 Baha'is who, although not currently in prison, were awaiting trial, appeal, sentencing, or the commencement of their sentences. That number now is 437. In 2008, the government dealt a heavy blow to the Baha'i community. While the Baha'i community has not had formal Baha'i institutions since they were outlawed by the government in 1983, it did have an ad hoc leadership group of these 7 individuals who were charged with attending to the most basic needs of the community, such as the administering of marriages and divorces and burials and so on, and also the spiritual and ethical training of the Baha'i children. This leadership group was known as the Yaran-e-Iran, or the Friends of Iran. In March of 2008, one of the Yaran, Mahvash Sabet, was detained. On May 14, 2008, the other 6 Yaran, Fariba Kamalabadi, Vahid Tizfan, Jamaluddin Khanjani, Afif Naimi, Saeed Rezai, and Behruz Tawakkoli, also were detained. From the very beginning of their imprisonment in 2008, these 7 leaders have been deprived of even the most basic semblance of justice. They were taken from their homes early in the morning and held in solitary confinement in prison for 4 months. They were then held without charge for the next year and a half. During this time, Iranian human rights lawyer and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Shirin Ebadi took on the case of the Yaran. For this, she was attacked in the Persian media, and in December 2008, the government shut down Ms. Ebadi's Defenders of Human Rights Center in Tehran. It has since targeted and imprisoned her fellow human rights lawyers who assisted Baha'is as well as other prisoners of conscience. In January 2010, the Yaran were finally taken to court and formally charged with espionage, propaganda activities against the Islamic order, the establishment of an illegal administration, cooperation with Israel, sending secret documents outside the country, acting against the security of the country, and finally, corruption on earth. These charges were utterly baseless, and the Yaran categorically denied all of them. Over the next several months, the 7 leaders were then tried in a series of brief, closed-door sessions riddled with irregularities and devoid of any modicum of due process. Ms. Ebadi states that there was no evidence to support the charges against her clients and that she was denied any meaningful access to the prisoners or their files. In August 2010, each of the 7 Yaran were sentenced to 20 years in prison. Though their sentences were briefly reduced on appeal, the 20-year terms were later reinstated by the head of the Iranian judiciary. These are the longest prison terms of any prisoners of conscience in Iran. The situation of the Baha'is, and especially the Yaran, is rendered all the more poignant when one understands that Baha'is are forbidden by their faith to engage in any acts of sedition or agitation against their governments. Rather, the millions of Baha'is, representing virtually every race and nationality in the world, are called upon by Baha'u'llah, the founder of the faith, to work to unify all people. They uphold such principles as religious tolerance, the equality of all races, the equality of women and men, education for all, and the harmony of faith and science, among other principles. They work to build inclusive communities, devoted to service and oriented toward the betterment of society. Even under these severe circumstances, however, the Baha'is of Iran have done what they can to make their own contribution to the advancement of their country. And as we know, tonight we mark a tragic anniversary because 5 years now have elapsed since the Yaran were first incarcerated. Since that time, they have been held in subhuman conditions in the worst prisons in Iran. They have borne their plight with strength and with grace, and they continue to be an inspiration to the Baha'is of Iran and the Baha'is of the world. In March of this year, resolutions condemning the imprisonment of the Yaran and the persecution of the Baha'i community in Iran were introduced in the U.S. Congress. Senate Resolution 75, introduced by Senators Mark Kirk and Richard Durbin of Illinois, and House Resolution 109, introduced by Congressman Michael Grimm of New York and Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky of Illinois, condemn the brutal repression of the Baha'is of Iran, call on the Iranian government to immediately release the Yaran and all other religious prisoners, and call on the U.S. President and Secretary of State to impose sanctions on officials of the Iranian government who are responsible for these serious human rights abuses. It is our hope that Senate Resolution 75 and House Resolution 109 will gain strong bipartisan support and will be passed in this Congress, thereby sending a message to the government of Iran and to the allies and friends of the United States around the world, a message that the unjust persecution of the Baha'is must end, and that all the citizens of Iran must be guaranteed their basic human rights. On May 14th, the anniversary of the 5-year imprisonment of the Yaran, there will be a national call-in day where people around the country will call the Washington, D.C. offices of their senators and representatives, asking them to co-sponsor Senate Resolution 75 and House Resolution 109. We hope that all of you here tonight will join in this effort, details of which can be found on the website iran.bahai, B-A-H-A-I.us. We urge all of you, whether you are congressional staffers, human rights activists, or simply citizens concerned about your fellow human beings, to play your part now in the passage of these important resolutions, and to continue to play your part in speaking out for the Baha'is of Iran. Friends, we realize, of course, that these 7 are not the only prisoners of conscience in Iran, but in a larger sense, they symbolize all of those, whether Baha'is or not, who now suffer under extreme duress in that country. We who enjoy the blessings of freedom must lend our voices in support of all in Iran who endure such hardships, not simply out of anger or indignation, but because we are the sincere well-wishers of the Iranian people and look to the day when all of her citizens enjoy the full rights of citizenship, when all can make their full contributions to their nation and to the world. So tonight we let these 7 individuals know that they have not been forgotten, that we remember them, that we speak their names, and that we will continue to call for their release. We will continue to raise awareness of the plight of the Iran with our government, with civil society, and with the public. And we will continue to urge our government to speak out for the Iran on the global stage. We will continue to work together to let the world know that the 5 years that these 7 leaders have served are 5 years too many. Thank you very much.